Quantum navigational failure wasn't supposed to happen, especially not to a cutting-edge vessel like the Hyperion Dawn. Captain Elisande Voss stared at the unfamiliar constellation pattern on the main view screen, her steel-gray eyes narrowing. In disbelief. "Status report," she demanded, voice betraying none of the panic threatening to overwhelm her. Her navigation officer, Lieutenant Dario Reeves, frantically worked the controls. "Captain, we're nowhere. The stellar cartography database has 0 matches. According to the quantum signature readings, we're not just outside charted space. We're in a different arm of the galaxy entirely." The bridge fell silent. The Hyperion Dawn had been humanity's pride, Earth's first true deep space vessel equipped with experimental quantum displacement technology. The mission was supposed to be straightforward. A quick jump to the Procyon system and back, demonstrating humanity's newest leap in propulsion technology. Now they floated, impossibly distant from home, with no way to calculate a return trajectory. "Life signs?" Voss asked. Science Officer Meridian Kale's voice trembled slightly. "Massive civilization readings, Captain. We're picking up artificial structures, energy signatures, and... wait, something enormous." The holographic display shifted. "It's a station, bigger than anything humanity has ever constructed, at least 50 kilometers in diameter." As the Hyperion drifted closer, the station came into view, a massive, glittering ring structure with spindly towers and docking arrays hosting thousands of vessels, most unlike any spacecraft design humans had encountered. "We're being scanned," Security Chief Orrin Levitt announced, hands hovering over defensive controls. Before Captain Voss could respond, the communications array lit up. "Unknown vessel," came a mechanical voice, translated through the ship's linguistic system. "You have entered restricted Imperial space without authorization. Your technology signature is unregistered. Prepare for mandatory boarding and assessment." 3. Sleek, predatory vessels detached from the station, their hulls shimmering with what appeared to be energy shields far beyond human capabilities. "Options?" Voss demanded. "We can't outrun them," Reeves said. "Whatever they're using for propulsion, it's making our engines look prehistoric." Voss made a split-second decision. "Open communications. We identify as peaceful explorers. Make it clear this was a navigation error." The boarding was swift and efficient. The aliens, calling themselves the Valkyrie, moved with precision, their exoskeletal armor making them appear almost insectoid. Their commander, Admiral Nix Terran, stood nearly 2 meters tall, with midnight blue skin and reflective, faceted eyes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Your presence here violates 12 Imperial statutes," Nix Terran stated flatly. "Your vessel will be impounded. Your crew assessed." Captain Voss stepped forward. "We mean no harm. Our ship experienced a quantum navigational failure. Quantum." "Navigation?" interrupted a smaller Valkyrie, whose ornate armor suggested a scientific role. "Impossible. Level 3 civilizations cannot possess such technology." This caught Nix Terran's attention. "Scan their drive system." When the results came back, the atmosphere changed. The Valkyrie officers conferred in hushed tones, their mandibles clicking rapidly. "Your vessel will be escorted to Imperial Central Assessment," Nix Terran finally announced. "This technology should not exist in your possession. The High Directive will determine how a primitive species acquired it." As the Hyperion Dawn was towed toward the massive station, Voss gathered her senior officers. "They're underestimating us," she whispered. "That's our only advantage. Whatever this empire is, they've never encountered humans before, and they clearly don't know about human ingenuity," Levitt added grimly. What none of them realized was that their accidental arrival had triggered an ancient prediction in Valkyrie sacred texts, one that foretold outsiders wielding impossible technology would herald the collapse of their 12,000-year empire. To the Valkyrie High Command, the humans weren't just trespassers. They were an existential threat that needed to be eliminated. The Imperial Central Assessment Station loomed above the Hyperion dawn like a metallic predator. Its massive ring structure, which the crew now knew was called the Nexus, housed the administrative heart of the Valkyrie hegemony, an empire spanning 3 spiral arms and governing over 400 sentient species, none of which had ever heard of humans. Captain Voss and her officers were separated from the rest of the crew and escorted to a vast chamber with curved, iridescent walls. A semicircle of Valkyrie officials occupied elevated platforms, their faceted eyes fixed on the human delegation. "We have reviewed your vessel's databases," announced Grand Arbiter Xol Virax, the highest-ranking official present. "Your species designates itself human. You claim to originate from a planetary system you call Sol. No such system exists in our records." "That's because we're from a different part of the galaxy," Voss explained. "As we've stated, our jump technology malfunctioned." The Grand Arbiter's mandibles clicked in what the humans would later learn was skepticism. "What concerns the High Directive is not your origin, but your possession of quantum displacement technology. According to the Civilization Tier Protocol, your species lacks the evolutionary maturity to handle such advancements. This violation cannot be permitted." Science Officer Kale spoke up. "We developed it ourselves. Humans are quite resourceful." This statement caused another round of clicking among the officials. One of them, wearing elaborate white-silver armor, leaned forward. "Impossible. The technology progression sequence is absolute. No species develops quantum manipulation before mastering gravitic stabilization and dark energy harnessing." "Well," Dario Reeves said with a shrug, "we did." This simple statement sent the chamber into chaos. The humans were quickly removed and placed in a high-security holding area where they discovered the reason for the Valkyrie's agitation. According to intercepted communications that Security Chief Levitt managed to decrypt, human possession of quantum technology directly contradicted the Empire's most fundamental belief, the progression doctrine. This doctrine, the cornerstone of Valkyrie civilization, held that technological development followed an unchangeable sequence determined by biological evolution. Species were classified by tiers, with the Valkyrie naturally at the pinnacle. Their entire imperial structure was built on shepherding lower civilizations through their proper development paths. Humans, by skipping developmental stages, represented a fundamental challenge to their worldview. While confined, the crew made another discovery. Throughout the station, other alien species, representatives from Valkyrie-subjugated worlds, observed the humans with growing interest. One of them, a reptilian merchant named Koslov Dre, managed to make contact through a maintenance conduit. "Your arrival has stirred something," Dre whispered, his scaled skin shifting colors with emotion. "Many species have made technological advancements the Valkyrie deemed out of sequence. Those innovations were confiscated. The scientists disappeared. Your open possession of forbidden technology is unprecedented." Captain Voss recognized an opportunity. "Are there many who resent Valkyrie control?" Dre's scales flushed deep crimson. "The hegemony maintains power through technological superiority and the progression doctrine. If that doctrine is disproven..." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of an unexpected visitor. Raksha Vel, a junior Valkyrie scientist who had examined the Hyperion's quantum drive. "Your engine design," she said, mandibles twitching with what seemed like excitement. "Rather than disdain, it approaches quantum displacement from a completely different theoretical foundation than our own. It's elegant, unconventional." "Why are you telling us this?" Voss asked cautiously. "Because," Vel replied, lowering her voice, "some of us have questioned the progression doctrine. Your existence might finally prove what we've suspected, that technological development isn't linear but contextual. Different evolutionary paths allow different technological insights. Before she could elaborate, alarms blared throughout the station. On the surveillance monitors, they watched as Admiral Nix Terran and a military contingent entered the Hyperion Dawn. "They're destroying your drive," Vel explained urgently. "All evidence of your technological achievement is being erased. Tomorrow, the High Directive will announce that humans are a primitive species requiring guidance. Your crew will be separated and studied. Your world once found will be subjugated." Captain Voss looked at her officers, determination hardening her features. "Not if we act first. The Imperial archives were never meant to be accessible to lesser species. The vast data repository contained the accumulated knowledge of the Valkyrie hegemony, including the carefully edited history presented to subjugated worlds. When Captain Voss and her team infiltrated this forbidden knowledge vault, aided by Raksha Vel's access codes, they discovered the truth behind the Empire's power. "These technical schematics," Science Officer Kale whispered, examining holographic displays. "They're from dozens of different civilizations, all confiscated, all claimed as Valkyrie innovations. Security Chief Levitt secured the entrance while Lieutenant Reeves hacked into the central database. Captain, according to these records, the Valkyrie didn't even develop their own FTL technology. They conquered the species that did, the Brisari, 5,000 years ago. The Brisari didn't die out naturally as our histories claim," Raksha Vel confirmed, her voice heavy with shame. "They were systematically eliminated after the Valkyrie extracted all useful knowledge. As they delved deeper, the humans made an even more disturbing discovery. Earth wasn't unknown to the Valkyrie. Long-range probes had identified Sol System centuries earlier, but it had been classified as developmentally quarantined until humans reached the appropriate tier for contact, or until resources in the system became valuable enough to warrant guided integration. They've done this to hundreds of worlds," Voss realized, "waiting until species reach a certain point, then arriving as technological superiors, offering guidance while stripping planets of resources and innovations. While the humans processed this revelation elsewhere on the station, Admiral Nix Terran reported to the High Directive's inner circle. The holographic figures of the 7 most powerful Valkyrie in the galaxy regarded him sternly. "The human vessel's drive has been neutralized," Nix Terran confirmed. "However, their databases contained troubling information. These humans have developed numerous technologies out of sequence. Their computational approaches, materials science, even their medical techniques follow unconventional paths." The image of Archon Zelkovar, the Empire's supreme authority, flickered with interference as she spoke from the distant Valkyrie homeworld. "Have they been contained?" "Yes, Archon. But there's another concern. The human captain mentioned their world sent out numerous exploration vessels. If others possess this quantum technology, then we must accelerate our timetable," the Archon interrupted. "Prepare a task force. Once we extract their world's coordinates, we will launch an immediate first contact mission. Their world must be brought under proper guidance before they further contaminate the galactic order." What the Valkyrie leadership didn't realize was that Koslov Dre had been busy spreading word about the humans throughout the station's commercial sectors. Representatives from 27 subjugated species had gathered secretly, their interest piqued by rumors of a species that had defied the progression doctrine. Meanwhile, Captain Voss and her team, having gathered the evidence they needed, enacted their daring plan. Using Raksha Vel's knowledge of station systems, they broadcast the hidden archives throughout the Nexus, revealing centuries of Valkyrie deception. Thousands of beings throughout the station watched in stunned silence as the carefully maintained illusion of Valkyrie superiority crumbled. They learned that many of their own world's great thinkers hadn't disappeared due to evolutionary defects, but had been eliminated after their innovations were harvested. The response was immediate and electric. Protests erupted across multiple sectors of the station. Commercial vessels docked at the Nexus began emergency departures, carrying the revelations to subjugated worlds. Admiral Nixitaran stormed into the detention area, finding only Raksha Vel. "Where are the humans?" he demanded. "Showing us the truth about ourselves," she replied calmly. As security forces scrambled to contain the growing unrest, Captain Voss led her crew in their most audacious move yet, reclaiming the Hyperion Dawn. While the Valkyrie had disabled their quantum drive, they'd overlooked the ship's conventional engines, more than sufficient for maneuvers within the station. The Hyperion broke free from its moorings just as the Nexus erupted into open rebellion. Vessels from subjugated worlds, long forced to maintain fighters and small cruisers as part of their defense contributions to the hegemony, turned against Valkyrie military ships. As chaos engulfed the station, the humans received a transmission from an unexpected source. "Captain Voss," came the cold voice of Archon Zelkovar herself. "Perhaps we have misjudged your species. The hegemony would welcome humans as special partners rather than subjects. Your technological innovation clearly deserves recognition." Voss smiled grimly. "You mean you'd rather have us as allies than enemies?" "The distinction is merely semantic," the Archon replied smoothly. "But yes." "I'm afraid it's too late for negotiations," Voss answered. "The truth can't be contained now." As she spoke, the Hyperion Dawn rendezvoused with a fleet of ships from rebellious worlds united against the empire that had subjugated them for millennia. The battle for the heart of the Valkyrie hegemony had begun. The rebellion that started at the Nexus spread across Valkyrie space like wildfire. The Hyperion Dawn, though lacking its quantum drive, became a symbol of resistance, its distinctly human design instantly recognizable among the Coalition fleet now challenging the Empire. "Captain, Elisanda Voss never intended to become a revolutionary leader, yet her tactical brilliance proved decisive in several early engagements. The Valkyrie military, accustomed to crushing isolated uprisings on distant worlds, found themselves facing a coordinated multi-species resistance operating within their core systems. They're adapting to our formations too quickly, Lieutenant," Reeves observed during one particularly fierce space battle. "Their tactical computers are predicting our maneuvers." Science Officer Kale studied the enemy movements. "Because they expect us to follow conventional battle doctrine, their doctrine which they've imposed on every species for millennia." Voss understood immediately. "Then we don't fight like anyone they've encountered before. We fight like humans." The resulting battle strategies, drawing on Earth's diverse military history from ancient Roman testudo formations to modern asymmetric warfare, bewildered the Valkyrie commanders. Human unpredictability became the Coalition's greatest weapon. 3. Months into the conflict, the Coalition forces established control over key hyperspace junctions, effectively cutting the Valkyrie homeworld from its distant territories. Throughout subjugated systems, populations rose against their Valkyrie administrators. Yet, the Empire's technological advantage remained formidable. Their flagship, the Eternal Dominion, led a counteroffensive that decimated Coalition forces at the crucial Persiga Nebula battle. The rebellion teetered on collapse. During this darkest hour, an unexpected breakthrough came not through combat, but collaboration. Raksha Vel, working with Science Officer Kale and engineers from 12 formerly subjugated species, completed what the Valkyrie had thought impossible: the restoration of the Hyperion's quantum drive, enhanced with contributions from multiple technological traditions. The progression doctrine's greatest flaw, Vel explained to representatives from dozens of worlds gathered aboard a Coalition command vessel, was forcing every civilization to follow the same technological path. But evolution creates diversity, for a reason. Each species perceives and solves problems differently. Oren Levitt grimly added, and combining those perspectives creates something stronger than any single approach. The enhanced drive was installed not on the Hyperion, but on a massive Coalition carrier vessel renamed Unity. When the ship successfully executed a quantum jump that defied Valkyrie theoretical limits, the psychological impact on the Empire was devastating. Their technological superiority, the bedrock of their control, had been definitively broken. As coalition forces closed in on the Valkyrie homeworld, Archon Zelkovar requested direct negotiations with Captain Voss. The two leaders met aboard a neutral vessel in orbit around Valkyrie Prime. The Archon, her imposing figure diminished by recent defeats, faced Voss across an ancient ceremonial table. "You've accomplished what no species has managed in 12,000 years. "Not me," Voss corrected. "All of us, working together. Something your empire never permitted." "And what will you do now?" Zelkovar asked. "Destroy us as we would have." "Destroyed you?" Voss studied her adversary. "That would only continue the cycle. No. What happens next is something truly revolutionary. Equality. The peace treaty signed in the Valkyrie capital established the Galactic Concordance, replacing the hegemony with a federation of equal worlds. The Valkyrie would retain their homeworld and core systems, but surrender their empire. All confiscated. Technologies would be returned to their originating species, and a new multi-species research institute would be established to explore collaborative innovation. 2 years after the Hyperion Dawn's accidental arrival, Captain Voss stood before the inaugural assembly of the Concordance Council. Representatives from over 300 worlds, including Earth, finally contacted through combined quantum communication techniques, gathered in the same chamber where the Valkyrie High Directive once ruled absolutely. "Our journey began with a navigational error," Voss addressed the assembly. "But perhaps it wasn't truly a mistake. Perhaps the universe itself brought us together to demonstrate a fundamental truth. No single species, culture, or perspective holds all answers. Progress isn't a linear path, but a tapestry woven from countless threads of experience." She looked out at the diverse gathering, former oppressors and oppressed now seated as equals. What the Valkyrie feared most, diversity of development, has proven to be the galaxy's greatest strength. Unified not through domination but collaboration, there is no limit to what we might achieve. As the assembly erupted in approval, Voss shared a meaningful glance with Rakshavel. The former Valkyrie scientist, now heading the Concordance's technological exchange program, nodded in acknowledgement. Their mistaken journey had led not just to the heart of an empire, but to the birth of something far greater, a future where diversity of thought and approach wasn't suppressed, but celebrated as the true engine of civilization's advancement. Aboard the fully restored Hyperion Dawn, now prepared for its journey, home to Earth, Captain Voss gazed at the transformed galactic core through her viewport. The quantum displacement had been a navigational error by human standards, but perhaps in the grand cosmic scheme, it had been precisely where they needed to go all along.